Hey guys, it is your favorite costumer here. I'd like to welcome you to my pick'ems, or rather the continuations of my pick'ems in 2025. I'm recording it just after the quarterfinals, or rather just after Swiss stage, where the quarterfinals were drawn as quarterfinals were not played yet. And my friends, I'd like to show my pick'ems. Of course, we have my faction, which is the Jankos' faction, which is out there. Some pick'ems correct, some I do not. So I actually have a lot of wrong. As you can see, I have in total 60 points out of the possible 125 points for this stage of the pick'ems, so for just the Swiss stage. I predicted Gen G to go 3-0, and I have also predicted FlyQuest to be 3-1 and G2 to be 3-2. So as much as both Gen G and G2 made it, they didn't give me bonus points, and then also FlyQuest didn't make it as they lost to CFO, which I don't have in my group stage pick'ems, or Swiss stage pick'ems, excuse me. And then BLG also haven't made it, but Top Esports did. So I kind of cooked, honestly. I believed in the Western teams, and I really believe that both FlyQuest G2 will make it. I feel like FlyQuest progressed worse and worse throughout the tournament, and they actually became worse and not better the longer they played. So unfortunately, they couldn't close that against CFO, and you know, they are now eliminated. It was very close against G2, and then this prediction will be correct, but unfortunately it is what it is. The prediction is not correct. And FlyQuest is now out. BLG is also out, losing to Top Esports. These games were crazy, man. The ins were insane. Not very impressed with the first seed from China, but this is what it is, and that's how my pick'ems ended up. I was correct with T1, KT, HLE, Anyone's Legend, Gen G, G2 making it. My pick'ems were wrong on the FlyQuest BLG. Instead of FlyQuest, it is CFO qualifying, and instead of BLG, it is Top Esports qualifying. Then from undefeated teams, it was only KT and Anyone's Legend. From T1 teams, I believe, 3-1 teams, I believe it was G2, it was HLE, and it was Gen G. And then from teams that went 3-2, it was actually T1, it was CFO, and Top Esports. Moving on, that was the Swiss stage part of the tournament. Now you see, with the possible 60 points that I have, my team, the community Jankos elders, have 69 points in total, 69, and we are in top 50%. I believe that every community right now is in about top 50%. My aim would be getting the top 5,000, because I'd like the Xin skin. I think that would be really cool to get a Trials of Twilight Xin and the Xin for free. Mostly the skin itself, as the Xin for free is, you know, just as champion. But my aim, you know, perfect pick'ems are really, really hard, but aiming for top 5,000 would be really awesome. But now moving on to knockout stage. I believe knockout stage should be available now. Yes, knockout stage is available, so we can make our predictions here. This is the bracket, and how I think the tournament's gonna go. Maybe I cannot really doubt CFO no more. It is very hard for me to predict between KT and CFO. KT had a glorious tournament. It will be only BO5s right now. As much as I love CFO and I fall in love with Dogo, with his playstyle, he was really amazing. His performance was top notch. I still think that it will be KT who makes it. You know, they went 3-0. I feel like they have the vibe. I feel like Cass and BDD are performing really, really well when it comes to expectations, but also to the individual performances. And I think that they will be the ones making it to semifinals. But it will be a close series, and do not sleep on CFO, because I did and I was wrong. These guys are cracked. They have also 2-0 FlyQuest, but I also think it was the weaker FlyQuest that was already a little bit emotional and regressed throughout the tournament. Then the next team I want to pick is actually Gen G here, between HLE, Gen G, HLE. Peanut, his last year, he will be joining military. After that one, I think that HLE overall has performed rather solid. Of course, Zeka and Zeus in the top side. Viper, I think Viper had amazing tournament. I remember this one game where Zeka didn't buy tier and he didn't have setups, one of the fights, and they actually threw that game. But then I remember Viper literally 1v, like the Caitlyn game that he had. I feel like he's so cracked, but Gen G has been playing rather well, and I know that they have dropped a game, but I just feel like they're such a strong team right now, and especially they perform better in BO5s, right? And I mean, this is maybe even a rematch from the finals of LCK. So I think I'm just gonna go with Gen.G here. Gen.G is overall my favorite to win the whole thing, and most likely Gen.G will have to go throughout the whole LCK bracket again on the way to finals, right? They might be facing KT, they might be facing HLE. They will be facing HLE, they might be facing KT later if assuming KT can win. So Gen.G is one of my favorites, really. That's why I will also pick them to be in the final itself, right? Instead of doing this side of the bracket first. I feel like Gen.G just has what it takes, and I don't know if it's mental block or Gen.G is just that good, but I mean, this is the year. In my opinion, this is the year where Gen.G is gonna win Worlds. I think that Chovy and the whole team really has been rather phenomenal. And I feel like even Canyon stepping up right now, one of the most criticized players in Gen.G this year, I feel like was Canyon. He didn't always have pop-off games, but even he is performing so well right now at Worlds. So I feel like Gen.G is absolutely cracked, and I think that they will do very well. Then for the upper bracket, of course, Anyone Legends against T1. This is a tough pick. I'm a big T1 fanboy, of course, Navi, but T1 fanboy as well. And I feel like I'm very biased towards that team. And I think, you know, they always perform when it matters. They always perform really, really well at Worlds, and they are slowly ramping up. They have won against MKOI. They have won 2-0 against MKOI, and they had like quite a solid run, I'd say. One IG, of course, you know, in the Swiss stage, or in the pre-Swiss stage, in the like play-in stage, I guess. They have one IG, and they still dropped 2 games. But then in the end, they did make it from, you know, 1-2 to all the way to 3-2 and are qualified now. Anyone Legends, one of the teams that went 3-0, and they're one. I believe they're the best team from China. I think we can say it with full confidence, looking how BLG and Tobii Sports perform. IG not even making it to Swiss stage, and then Anyone's Legends went 3-0. They had a lot of good games. T1 is known as the LPL Slayers, so I might be slightly biased here. I actually think that this series itself can be super close. And I think this series, it might actually be AL taking it, like 3-2 maybe. But because I'm biased and because I think that T1 will get their Worlds buff, and they always have a buff at Worlds, I feel like. T1 is just gonna take it. So, going back to my point, it is completely logical, and I think that T1 has been more shaky, and I think they were even shaking as MKOI. And I think they have been shaky throughout the whole Swiss stage. And each one of them had moments where they didn't play that well. I feel like T1 is just gonna win because I'm a fanboy and I like Thayger. To be honest, I feel like this is very tricky. I feel like if you are more of a logical person and you want to go with how teams perform throughout Swiss stage, and of course there's still between T1 making Swiss stage and T1 playing Anyone Legend, it's about a week or about 5 days, I think, of preparation for T1. So unless you are heavily biased like me, you should probably pick Anyone Legend, just like logically, I'm gonna tell you. But I'm just kind of biased towards T1. And then I'm also biased towards G2 Esports, as they are the last Western team at Worlds and are European proud and hoped. G2 Esports against Tobii Sports. I think this is the best draw that G2 could hope for. If G2 already lost to Tobii Sports at Worlds, but I feel like if G2 doesn't win against Tobii Sports, then they can't win against anybody else. You can argue, oh yeah, sure, if they cannot win Tobii Sports, maybe they could still win against CFO or KT or whatever, right? Nah, that's just copium. I think Tobii Sports is the worst, or one of the worst teams in quarterfinals. And I think for G2, it was between facing CFO and between facing Tobii Sports. I think if they were to play against T1, I'd rather be T1 favorite. But again, looking at T1 performances, maybe G2 could stand a chance. And then for CFO, I think these guys are like quite cracked as well. For Tobii Sports, I feel like these guys, of course, are good, you know. Cream had amazing Smolder game 369. Kanavi most of the time is really, really performing very well. Jakilov has his moments with Hank, but overall they are a strong team. Still, one of the best options for G2 to play against. If they were to face Gen.G, which hypothetically they could have, as both teams were 3-1, and they could have faced each other, then I think G2 would be massively cooked, right? So I still think G2 got the best draw they could, and I also think they are on the easier side of the bracket, as they don't have Gen.G and HLE in their side, and KT of course. So I feel like G2 can actually make it all the way to the finals. I'm not gonna cope that hard, but in a way it is possible. So I will just say that G2 will win against OB Sports. I think their games against FlyQuest gave me a lot of hope. I think Skum and Labrov leveled up so much throughout the whole year, and I truly wish that, you know, European team can at least make it to semifinals, being a contender. Then T1, G2, this is a classic. They meet each other every single year at the Messiah, every single year at Worlds, every single... Normally they meet each other a little bit earlier, but, you know, they face each other. Hypothetically speaking, they could face each other in semifinals now. This one, I want to go with the same, I guess, with the same logic as I had before. I feel like T1 really ramps up at Worlds, and I think they play better and better. And I feel like right now Thayger is having, again, great games. Well, he had some ends in series, but at least he played so well against MKOI. He was gapping Jojopin so hard. He was just so solid on both Asia and Rise. He went 0 deaths. He had like perfect KDA and so on. So I feel like if the whole team can rise up behind Thayger, and I feel like for me, the biggest inter, I guess, was Doran, and for me also, Keria didn't really perform as well as he could, as in my opinion, he's the best support player in the world, and he doesn't really play like the best support player in the world right now. But I think T1 is going to win that one just because of how much they can ramp up. And I also think that if T1 can beat anyone's legend, then I think T1 should be able to make finals, because I just think that these two teams are much worse than this team. So this is why I believe that T1, you know, if they win here, automatically they should also be winning in semifinals. And then I know it's Worlds, and I know that last year T1 and Gen.G met in semifinals, and that time T1 won. But I feel like this year is gonna be different, and I feel like this year T1 with Doran, in my opinion, and well, maybe not even in the opinion, just facts are facts, and T1 doesn't have the same performances with Doran as they had with Zeus, and this could not only be because of one player, it could potentially be just because maybe they are more burned out, maybe, you know, playing so long together just doesn't feel as good, maybe the meta is not... There's many excuses. Point is, I feel like Gen.G is looking stronger right now. I think Kin is much better than Doran. I feel like Canyon, Honor and Canyon have like similar performances at Worlds. I think both of them are playing like so much solid most of the time. I feel like Chovy has been stepping it up, and so did Thayger, but maybe we'll see how the bot lane goes, right? But I will give this one to Gen.G. Just because I feel like Gen.G will be the team who will dethrone T1 this Worlds, and I feel like it's finally time for Chovy to win his first title. I know that some people love him, some people hate him, some people say he's the best player in the world, some people say he's only farming. I think that used to be true maybe 3 years ago. I think right now Chovy is absolutely insane. His team fighting, his laning phase, his decision making, he's so good, and I feel like this is the year where Chovy can finally win Worlds, and this is where my predictions will end. Besides that, chat, or you beautiful viewers rather, small thing. There's also the whole World Pass going on, and I've also been like digging that one. I am currently in Korea. I'm playing on Korean server, right? And I believe I'm Grandmaster, almost, you know, like around the same LP as Grandmaster. But I've been grinding that one because why not? I got the Nico skin. I'm looking forward to get the Scarlet skin as well. I feel like the best skin is the Zoe skin, but I don't really play Zoe, but like her skin looks, you know, just the coolest and the best. So that's very interesting that even though I'm here, I'm, you know, still grinding so much League of Legends. I think this one actually is goated. I have not seen this one before, but this is a Smite icon, isn't it? So never mind, I'm not grinding for Zoe. I am grinding for the Smite icon, so I can actually just flex on the junglers from Korea that I smited or outsmited them. But yes, that was about it. Enjoy grinding your World's Battle Pass. Enjoy getting highest scores in your PKMs. This is how my PKMs will most likely look like. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy yourself, and I will see you next time. If you have any feedback, of course, feel free to message. I don't know if you guys agree with my PKMs or not, but if you don't, leave a comment down below. Maybe you change something. Maybe I can learn from you. See you next time.